Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Monday, the 25th of March. All right, now let's just have a look at what's been going on. Markets are open, and there is only one little bit of news out over the weekend, and that's Trump has been cleared of any collusion with Russia in the election. So that gives the political parties over there something to think about. But let's just come back into looking at the upcoming opportunities this week and what we've got as far as trading conditions goes. Now, if you have a look at the general trading conditions, and I'll show you the charts in just a second, the major pairs are discombobulating, right? So there were, after the Fed last Thursday, there was a little bit of a flurry, a bit of US dollar selling, but once again, the statement was a little bit dovish in comparison to the previous one, but it wasn't a dovish statement, and we've seen the US dollar turn around very quickly. So the dollar index, to me, just sideways at the moment. Dollar yen has broken down. Dollar CAD has broken up. Dollar Swiss is still down. And Euro's broken down on those weaker German manufacturing numbers. So we've got a little bit of, movement, but it's not exactly clear if this is going to be short-term or not. And this is primarily because the core market drivers are still geopolitical events. Now, the Chinese-US relations, we've heard very little news. There was a few little snippets from Trump last week, but you can expect that to really ignite, especially if we can get something out of this Brexit deal. They have got an extension to April 12th, so that takes a little bit of pressure off at the moment. If anything, Euro looks like the best pair. It's got short-term direction down, and the overall fundamental outlook is down for Euro as well. So probably selling on rallies is a bit of an opportunity just to get things kicked off. Now, let's just have a look at the key upcoming events. Now, these are events that could potentially impact the markets. Now, these blue ones to start with are a good one for traders to look at because you can hold positions through these. The German IPO business climate numbers. On the back of those weak German numbers on Friday, it's going to be very interesting to see how these German IPO numbers come out. Historically, they do have play a significant part in the market. And then you've got the US housing starts, so we get a chance to sort of see what's going on there with the US numbers. And then once we get into sort of Tuesday, so the housing starts and US consumer confidence numbers, it gives us a chance to sort of really get some fundamental numbers into the dollar, but they aren't huge. But the consumer confidence numbers, of course, can really impact if there's significant variance there. Now, if you've got we're sending out an email with all the details about these events. But to me, the biggest potential pair is the Kiwi. Now, RBNZ interest rate decision coming out first thing Wednesday. You've got the Thursday, the NBNZ business outlook numbers, and also RBNZ Governor Orr speaking. So the Kiwi, to me, is the key currency pair to be watching. Now, don't just fall into the trap. This is a currency pair with very little liquidity and extreme volatility. So to me, I always go into the Kiwi trading and probably smaller trade size primarily because of those two factors. But these events are going to be pretty big and can shape the direction for the Kiwi for the coming weeks and or months. Okay, especially that RBNZ rate decision and statement, and also followed up with the governor's speech later on in the week. Now, inside of that, we do have Draghi speaking. We've got some final GDP numbers out of the US and Canada. We've also got the GDP numbers out of, US and UK. We've also got the GDP numbers out of Canada there as well. So to me, like Friday, once we get into Friday's trading, and it starts here with the final GDP numbers out of the UK, now that Brexit vote actually has been extended, or the deadline, I should say, we may see some of these economic numbers come into play. It's a bit of a big if, but we may see it. Now, once again, Eurozone has got very clear sentiment. The CPI flash estimate, very important for the overall direction of Euro. If anything, it's a bit of a shame that number isn't coming out on like Tuesday because we could potentially get direction on the Euro all week. Unfortunately, it's Friday, so we're just going to hang out for that. The Canadian GDP numbers, well, dollar CAD's one pair that's shooting to the top side, weakness in the CAD, so that's definitely going to be an important release. And we've got a couple of sort of key releases here or potential opportunities on the US dollar to finish the week. The PCE price index, a really good inflation indicator that the Fed looks at. And then you've got the revised University of Michigan consumer sentiment numbers there to finish off the week with. All right, so that's where the key opportunities are for the week. Now, if I just give you a bit of a look at these major pairs. Now, as you can see, there's no clear direction here what the US dollar is doing. Now, the Aussie sort of just drifted lower, probably on the back of almost like the weaker euro. Although euro now feels like it's found a bit of a home around 113 the figure after those weak numbers. Kiwi, well, it's just stalling. It hasn't actually sort of really fallen. If anything, it still has potential to the top side, and that's where the RBNZ and those Kiwi data will come into play. It's set up for a move, big move either way. Really, I think the US dollar is going to dominate, but just keep an eye on that. Now, the dollar, a bit of a safe haven flurry into the yen. Like we've seen over the last couple of months, is this going to hold or not? I mean, I don't really know. All I know is it's just going lower at the moment. I can't see any clear overall sentiment besides that. And dollar CAD, as I said, is moving to the top side. Looks like oil is starting to retreat after rallying above $60. It's heading south. You want to be keeping an eye on oil for the next bit of direction there on the funds. Don't forget Friday. We've got to wait till Friday for some real serious Canadian data. And the loose cannon here, sterling, well, I'd say sideways. I know it's rallied 200 points here over the last few days, but it's untradeable with all these Brexit updates. The best thing that can happen is we get an outcome one way or the other. Like a deal would be best because then we know what we're dealing with, funnily enough. But if we don't get it, if we do Brexit without a deal, then you're going to have all these comments and left field sort of shocks here and there. So we're just going to keep an eye on sterling from here. Hopefully it clears up and gives us some good trading opportunities going forward. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'll just give you one quick look at the dollar index. I mean, as you can see, dollar index, and this is probably the sleeping giant at the moment, which is the dollar yuan, the US against the yuan. We're getting sort of false breaks both sides of the market, so I'm not really getting overly into it at this point. It is following the dollar index over here, as you can see, pretty closely. So you want to keep an eye on that. The dollar index, had that big sort of fall down after the Fed, and now it's picked itself up and sitting back on that sort of support line at the moment. So pretty much sideways for the dollar index. Dollar yuan, we're waiting to hear more from Trump. As I said, you've got a bit of Trumpy in the headlines, as well as Brexit. So geopolitics dominating. We'll see how the week plays out. All right, guys, that's it from me. Check out the MyFX Trading Hub for all the details, and we'll see you in the 247 trade zone. Cheerio.